I am Gregory Hallows, and this is Preserve Halloween Podcast. So, I've been meaning to do a podcast like this, or probably a series of them for a while. I get a lot of books, I buy a lot of books. I love to look through Halloween books. I love to read anything from comic books to price guides to whatever magazine I find at the doctor's office. I've always been somebody that loves to read things and learn new, just constantly learn. So I bought a book recently, and it is wonderful to look through. So I wanted to make sure I shared it with everyone. It was published in 2005 by the Schiffer Publishing Company, or Schiffer Books for Collectors. I'm not exactly sure what the proper... Oh, here it is. Schiffer Publishing Limited, out of Pennsylvania. This book is by a woman named Claire Lavin. I apologize for saying your name wrong, because I'm sure I did. And she basically, from what I gather, just loves Halloween, much like the most of us do, and decided to put together a book. But the cool thing about this one is it is a reference book for Beazle, and it's taken most of the information, or at least that's in the intro to the book. She basically says, I didn't write this book. I took all this information from the Beazle archives. So I like her already. She's not taking credit for anything she didn't do. She loves Halloween. So, this sounds like our kind of people. So I want to read the intro that, discusses about the author, because I think it gives you a good idea of who this woman is, or, what she's about, at least in some way, because, it's what she wants us to see. So it's great that there is books out there like this. A lot of times they're not very helpful. There are a lot of books that are really just fun to look at. So it's always great to get a book that has information collected. And any book like this, depending on the age, or, it's almost impossible to put out anything with pricing in it that stays relevant. So any book like this, I just ignore the pricing because it's pointless. There's really no way to keep up with how much this stuff is worth, except for, the thing I always say is nothing is worth more than what you're willing to pay for it. So that's a true price guide to me, is, how much are you willing to pay? And that's how much it's worth. So from her earliest childhood memories, Halloween was always a special and very happy time of year for Claire Lavin. Her birthday happens to fall on November 1st, and since she attended parochial school, she always had the day off. Imagine a 2-day holiday involving lots and lots of sugar. Claire has always felt she possessed a rich imagination, and she truly put it to the test at the end of October. She would mull over the numerous characters she dreamed up in her head, decide on the one, and then spend weeks finalizing just the right accessories. It was the one night of the year that she could be anyone or anything that she wanted. Of course, Halloween decorations figured in greatly, along with the costumes and candy. Not only did Claire look forward to her mother pulling out the well-worn cardboard decorations to adorn their front windows and door, but also she couldn't wait to see what the neighbors had in store. She knew Halloween was in full gear when the Youngs, who lived across the street, affixed a 6-foot skeleton to the front of their house. Claire started collecting the cardboard Halloween decorations in grade school and has continued to do so to this day. Halloween is always in her heart, 365 days a year. She loves this time of year so much that she got married on All Hallows Eve and has instilled a true love for this autumnal holiday down to her grandchildren. They look forward to October and all its activities almost as much as she does. She buys and sells holiday collectibles over the internet as well as at specialized shows. In her spare time, Claire speaks to different clubs and organizations about vintage Halloween collectibles and their value. As an added bonus, she is contributing editor of the current prices column in the Halloween newsletter Boo News. So, like I said, this book was published in 2005. I don't know how much of that information is accurate anymore. I do plan on looking up these columns and try to track down Miss Lavin and, talk to her and kind of see where things are going with her. Is she still as in love with Halloween as she always has been? I did not check to make sure she was still living, so hopefully she is still around to share Halloween with her grandkids and, hopefully her whole family, her husband, everyone. Because it sounds to me like her husband has pretty much, like most of our significant others, just given in to the fact that we're obsessed with Halloween, and either you're going to be obsessed with us or you're not going to be very happy most of the time. So it sounds to me like he has chosen the proper response and just lets her do and decorate their house, completely. So I flipped through this book. It's broken up into really good sections. There's an invitation section, die cuts, party games, party hats, lanterns and shades, miscellaneous, and it was wonderfully helpful to me because I am planning on building a very large-scale version of the spin the wheel fortune game. The Witch's Fortune Wheel, I think is what it was called. I found a lot of information about it in this book. It was initially released in 1927. It was a 15-cent fortune game, and there was a couple different versions of it. There was one that everything was just all together. You spin the little wheel and two numbers come up. One is for the boys and one is for the girls, I believe. And then they put out one that had kind of a tissue paper base later on. But what I want to do is I want to build a very tall scale version of this so that it can be done, spin it like a Wheel of Fortune wheel or, Price is Right, one of those, maybe not as big as Price is Right, but I want a big giant wheel for the festival later in November just to have, some cool things to take pictures with and to, I just want to really just see if I could do it. But I highly recommend this book. I know that there are a few lists of what books to get as far as collectibles and things like that in regards to Halloween. I usually don't really pay attention to what the critics say as far as books go about Halloween. I would rather take a chance on it, and there may be a few things in there that I didn't know about or had never seen, and that's valuable enough to me. I bought this book used on Amazon. I think it was like $17, so it's a very good addition to my collection. I'm very excited to have it. I really like the fact that it specifically goes over Beazle from 1920 to 1949. So it's a very specific book, and for many of us, that is one of the premier time frames for collectibles of Halloween. I think there's 300 or so, probably more than 300 photos in this book. And like I said, there is a value guide, but it's really hard to take any stock in any of the value stuff because, everything's online nowadays. So, those prices change immediately. And like I said, it depends on how much somebody wants something. Like I've overpaid for things plenty of times just because I wanted it. And to me, I didn't regret it because I just, it's something I wanted. So, I try not to get caught up in the heat of the moment as far as auctions or trying to buy things go, because if you let your heart lead your wallet, a lot of times you end up spending way more money than you planned. But we've all done that. So I'm going to look up Miss Lavin and try to find out more about her. And whatever I find, I will report on the social media pages. I will also post up a picture of the cover of this book. So if you guys want to track it down yourselves, like I said, I really highly recommend this book, even if nothing else, just to flip through and look at the pictures, because there is so much orange and black, wonderful, just it's so good. So thank you for listening. We'll see you next week, and as always, preserve Halloween.